Hi, I'm Carl the Landscape Guy, and today I'm building an indoor koi tank. It will be a fully functioning tank and filtration system where small koi or other fish can be temporarily quarantined. The system will consist of the following materials. For a basin, I'm reusing the 700 liter food grade pallet box. This 90 liter large concrete mixing tub will serve as a pre-filter and sedimentation tank to filter out the coarse dirt. There are also various small parts that will be used, like this wall bushing and a suitable sealant compound. With this and the pipes, the whole system will be connected to each other. Then we have this ball valve as well as high temperature pipes and PVC pipes. These brushes will later be installed in the mixing tub. I didn't want to build a filter with any sponges because they clog up immediately and have to be cleaned often. Therefore, I bought these brushes that are 15 and 10 centimeters in diameter, and we'll see how we make them fit into the tub later. And then we have this rain barrel, which I want to utilize as a biofilter with Hel-x Biomedia. This basic pump that runs 2000 liters per hour will provide the necessary circulation. These are the main components at a glance, and I'm looking forward to the assembly and the end result. The unique thing is that the filter system will work as a gravity system. The water surface in all three connected tanks is at the same height, and the pump simply creates the circulation from one spot. This saves energy in contrast to pumped filter systems, and the functionality has been proven. But one thing after the other, then the structure will be clear. First, we'll begin with the construction of the brush filter from the rectangular 90 liter mixing tub. The water should run straight through the tub, and the floating particles should settle at the bottom and on the brushes. To achieve that effect, these 75mm wall bushings are installed at the front and rear of the tub. These are installed with the included stainless steel screws. I put the flange piece on the outside and marked the opening. With a 10mm hole, I can then easily use the jigsaw to cut it out. Use a file to clean up the cut edge. Then I insert a 75mm pipe through the opening and it fits. Now the flange piece can be placed in the center and I can drill the holes to fit exactly. Next, I roughen the surface with sandpaper so that the sealant has good contact with the components. All the surfaces should be smooth. I wipe off the dust and then use Aquaforte Superstrong Fix and Seal. This can be easily applied with a silicone press. I apply an outer and inner ring on the surfaces of the wall bushing. I start with the flange from the inside and align it with 2 screws. I press some of the sealing compound into the screw holes so that they are waterproof afterwards, but I'm not really sure if that's necessary. I turned the two screws so far in that they protrude out the other end. Then the outer flange can be aligned quite well and I can start putting the rest of the screws. This will squeeze out some of the sealant on both sides, but that's good, because you know that enough sealant was applied. Then I wipe off the excess material. This sealant is not to be confused with glue, because polyethylene and polypropylene cannot be glued. The sealant has a strong adhesive property and is pressed against the side by the screws, creating a permanently sealed connection. I installed the opposite wall bushing the same way. I'm now putting another bushing in the bottom of the bucket. This 40mm bushing is intended to serve as a drain when cleaning the filter. I have installed all bushings with the flange to the outside so that there is as much space as possible for the filter brushes. In addition, the filter should be able to be emptied out as much as possible when it's being cleaned. So we will let the sealant dry thoroughly and take care of the brushes. These are going to be hung in the filter. I simply use a piece of cable channel because it is light and yet stable due to its angular shape. I cut 3 pieces to length and put holes in them at the appropriate intervals. Now the brush ends are bent over and inserted into the holes. Each row has 2 10cm and 2 15cm diameter brushes, and that's pretty much the width of the tub. The nice thing is that you can now simply push on the cover of the cable duct and you're done. There should be no large gaps between or alongside the brushes so that the water can slide through evenly and no channels are formed. I ordered the brushes 30 centimeters in length and I shortened them just a little bit. Nice and light and stable at the same time. I made 3 of them and that's what it looks like. I take the brushes and lay them in the pond until the indoor tank system is put into operation. This way, beneficial bacteria can settle on the brushes and the filter will retract faster later. Next, it's time to glue. The first thing I will do is glue the filter drain. These PVC pipes can be glued to the PVC feed-throughs. I will link all used materials and products in the video description. It's important that no HT pipes are glued in here because they're not made of PVC. I cut the pieces to fit and roughen the glue surfaces. The pipes can be easily cut to length with a metal saw because it has a fine saw blade. Then I coat both surfaces with glue and assemble the components. On the 75mm flanges, I put short PVC pipe pieces so that I can later push on a 75mm connecting pipe sleeve easily. Initially, I had planned to glue all the piping together, but then the system would be too inflexible for modifications. Now the brush filter chamber is all glued and it can dry by itself. Let's continue with the 200-liter rain barrel, which I want to use as a biofilter. Here the pre-filtered water should run into the upper area, then flow from top to bottom through the biofilter material. From the bottom, the water is then pumped back into the tank. So a 75mm wall bushing comes into play here also. The process is the same as before, so we will do it a little faster this time. Also, a piece of 75mm PVC pipe is glued in such a way that later an HT sleeve pipe will fit well onto it. In order for the HT sleeve to later seal well with the built-in sealing ring, only the adhesive surface should be roughened and the sealing surface should remain smooth. Down in the rain barrel, I'm installing a 40mm wall bushing for the pump line. A PVC connection pipe is then glued in here, not only on the outside but also on the inside, so that the pump can be easily connected from the inside. Now we come to the installation of the actual tank. I bought this very sturdy pallet box secondhand. It already has 4 holes in it with 1 on each side. 2 of the holes I close with a corresponding rubber stopper. And the other 2 openings will later serve as side drains. To do that, I extend the hole to the specific connection size 63mm. I use the Bosch cordless jigsaw again and saw out the connection carefully. This works relatively well, but you have to touch it up with a file, of course. Clean the edges smooth with sandpaper and then remove the dust. I found these rubber seal gaskets on Amazon that fit this 63mm opening exactly. To make sure that they stay sealed well, I apply some of the flexible sealant. Directly after that, an HT pipe 50mm can be put in, which then also ensures that the sealing compound is pressed on tightly. A little salad oil helps when inserting and is more fish friendly than pipe lubricant. The HT pipe elbows can now be reattached to the 2 connections. I connect both side drains together and go over to a 75mm connector because this is where our brush filter will be connected later. Now I need one last wall bushing for the return line from the biofilter. To do this, I put a 40mm bushing into the pallet box further up. The box is stable and thick-walled, so the bushing is easy to install. The flange faces out so that the fish won't bump into it later. For a watertight connection, a short piece of PVC pipe is glued in on the outside. Since it is a used pallet box, it's pretty scratched up. To prevent the fish from getting injured on the bumps, I sand the box from the inside. Now all containers are cleaned and rinsed out. And finally, the construction of the system begins. First, I set up the 2 filter basins. Of course, the brush filter must be raised up so that the water level can be the same in all the containers. I put bricks underneath, but anything should work as long as it's stable. On the bottom of the brush filter container, the drain valve is screwed on. We had everything glued, so now the rest is done quick. I align the bricks so that the valve is reachable in between them. So that the distance to the wall fits, I put the elbow pipes on the back. When that fits, I put the basin in front of it and connect the 75mm pipe to the brush filter container. On the other side, I connect the pump outlet at the bottom of the biofilter with the return to the tank. I purposely don't use 90-degree elbows, which will lessen the pipe resistance in this pump line. Down in the biofilter, I now install the pump. With the help of a 40mm rubber seal gasket, it can be very easily connected to a 40mm pipe, and then you can simply connect it to the pump. This way I don't need to use thin hoses with high pressure that can easily bend. The only thing missing from the piping is the connection between the brush filter and the biofilter. Here I cut myself a matching pipe piece. So all containers are connected and water can be filled in for the first time. It's also a good way to check for leaks. Now the water has reached the pump. That means we can plug it in and see how it works. And it looks good. Filling it up is going to take a while, and so in the meantime I'll prepare the biochamber ventilation. For now I use a small aerator pump. However, the 2 outlets are so small that they're not heavy enough. I weigh them down with a net and some stones so that they stay in the desired spot. They come down into the biochamber and bring oxygen into the Helix. In addition, the rising air ensures a more even flow of the water through the Helix. Unlike a moving bed filter, the Helix material will remain inactive. This allows the rain barrel to be able to hold such a large capacity of biomaterial, which in turn will improve the filter overall performance. Now I can get the filter brushes out of the pond and put them in. In the brush filter, I put two 90-degree elbows on the wall bushings from the inside. So the water is deflected upwards and the dirt can settle better on the bottom. I also add some natural pond water to the new system. Maybe it will bring in a few more beneficial bacteria. Now I also got the biofilter material. The nitrifying bacteria are supposed to settle on the Helix. But I don't throw everything in yet because there's still something missing. In this small piece of pipe, I put a 13-watt UVC tube light on the inside. This works well with the suction cups on the smooth HT pipe. At the end, I attach a 90-degree elbow. The whole thing is now put in from the inside into the wall bushing. The elbow optimizes the flow of the Helix material and the UVC lamp reduces the germination pressure in the system. The only downside is that the HT pipe is not UV resistant and needs to be replaced at some point. But the lamp sits well in the center of the pipe and the water is irradiated evenly as it flows by. This way, it's really cheap to operate such a useful UVC lamp. Now I fill in 120 liters of Helix. I decided to use the thicker 35mm Helix material as it has good flow characteristics in the static structure. Now the system is ready and there are no signs of leaks from the pipes. Well, we can put in some fish now. I have some koi from my natural pond here that are going to be sold. So they will only be in here temporarily. The basin will also serve as a quarantine and observation tank in the future. In the finished system, the water will now run as follows. From the 700-liter tank, the water flows out the two 50mm drains into the 75mm pipe and then into the 90-liter brush filter. Here the water calms down and suspended particles can settle on the bottom or on the brushes. Over time, bacteria settles here, which decompose the coarse dirt. A clear advantage of this gravity system is that the coarse dirt particles are not first shredded by a pump, but are allowed to settle down and not additionally cloud the water. Then it goes out again at the other end, namely the water drains off from above, so that the dirt can settle at the bottom really well. You can adjust the water level with a piece of pipe, which you simply shorten to the desired length. When I want to drain the brush filter, I simply place two longer pieces of pipe onto both elbows to stop the water flow. Then the filter can be easily and quickly drained with the ball valve. Then it continues to the 200-liter biofilter, past the UVC lamp and then through the Helix. The thicker Helix allows good aeration, which provides an even water flow through the material. I might want to optimize this in the future with a whole trickle plate. During operation, the lid should always remain closed because the nitrifying bacteria are sensitive to UV light. The pump is at the bottom and its casing keeps the Helix from being pumped out. It transports the water from the bottom of the biochamber back into the tank, where it provides a nice flow. As a result, dirt particles do not settle easily on the bottom and are slowly transported to the side drains. The rectangular tank is not ideal, and the bottom drain in the middle might probably work better here. I intend to install a second aerator in the tank just to be on the safe side. The rule of thumb states you should aerate approximately 2 liters of air per minute per cubic meter of water in the system. All pipe connections look secure so far, which can of course be secured with screws or clamps. But first, I'm very satisfied with my small indoor tank and hope you like this video. Through the HT pipes, the system is flexible and I can always change something around later. Normally, the filter should have a size of 10% of the tank. The filter capacity is therefore very large, so I could easily expand the system and add a larger tank, for example. Then there will be definitely a new video coming out, so please subscribe to my channel. I'm always happy to receive good ideas and suggestions, so feel free to leave a comment. I wish you much success with your projects. Thank you for watching and see you next time. I'm Carl, the Landscape Guy.